Hi, in this video I'm going to be sharing with you and discussing with you what social conditioning is, how it can show up in your life and what you can do about it. My name is Gret Leach. I'm a former lawyer making my transition into my full-time purpose to help you to live a life full of joy, inner peace, happiness and confidence by undoing that social conditioning and by returning to your authentic self. I'm really excited to share this video with you because it is a subject I am incredibly passionate about and something that I'm here to help you guys and lots of people in the world to understand and undo, to live a happier, healthier life. Before I get into the video, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button because it will help me to grow the channel and reach more people that need to hear my messages. Without further ado, we'll get into the video. Welcome back to the channel, guys. This is a massive subject and as I've just said in the intro, something that I am incredibly passionate about, and over the last 6 years of building this business and doing my self-development, it's something that I've come to realise was the root cause of all of my suffering and all of the branches that came from it. What I want to do today is help you to understand what it is, because when I was at the very start of my self-development journey and I had all of these other things that I was experiencing, such as debilitating social anxiety, feeling lost, lack of confidence, no self-esteem, literally did not know who I was all down to the root cause of social conditioning. So I'm just going to sum it up and explain what it is, then we'll get into the video. I'll share some of my experiences and hopefully that will resonate with you guys, and I'll give you some tips and things to take away to start implementing into your life to start helping you to undo this. So social conditioning refers to a process by which societal norms, beliefs, values and expectations are passed on and internalised by individuals within society. So what this does, it shapes and influences an individual's thoughts, behaviours, attitudes, perceptions from a very, very young age. And this comes from many different institutions such as family, education, media, religion, and also peer groups. So it's a massive, massive, to me, problem that we've got in the world. It's the root cause of people suffering, and people don't actually realise it's a very, very unconscious thing that we have, and we don't realise that all of the things that are coming from that and all of the suffering that we're experiencing, such as depression and anxiety and lack of confidence and feeling unbalanced and not feeling happy with our lives, not knowing who we are as a person, literally all comes from the root cause of being socially conditioned. I had heavy conditioning placed on me by my parents. It was more my mum than my dad, because my mum actually grew up in a little village, and she said that all of the people in the village knew who you were, they knew what you were up to, and there was very much this emphasis placed on you weren't allowed to date certain people, you know, you were looked upon in a certain way depending on what your job was or what your career was, and you know, you couldn't put a foot wrong or you couldn't say the wrong thing and you couldn't do the wrong thing, because if you did, everyone in the village would know about it. So that's just an example of some of the conditioning that my mom had placed onto her from her parents. And it was only through me going through this journey of self-development and getting to a point where I actually reached rock bottom in my life and felt totally lost and thought, what the hell is going on? I've got to do something about this. It was only when I started to make that decision and go on a journey of self-discovery to release and unschool, if you like. I've had to unschool like 30 odd years of conditioning. I mean, I'm 38 now. I started this self-development journey probably 6-7 years ago, so I'd basically had you know, probably nearly half of my life of being conditioned in a certain way, and I had to unschool and I had to unlearn all of that. So when I was going through all of that, I shared that with my mum and said, look, you know, in a loving way, a lot of the ways that I have become and a lot of the beliefs and the perceptions that I've taken on board is because of the conditioning that you have placed on me, and I know that came from a place of love, and I know it only came from a place that you knew to be true, but this is what it is. And you know, it was a difficult conversation to have with my mom, but having that conversation was so healthy and so freeing, and she's actually been able to grow and develop it herself as well, just from me making that decision to do what was right for me. And that's when we had those conversations, and she would say, you know, well, my parents XYZ, we lived in the village, there was all this conditioning, and as you can see there's a pattern that goes through generations, and until somebody gets to the point where they say, well, this isn't right, I don't feel good, I don't know who I am as a person, I've been that heavily conditioned to be like everyone else, go and get a career so I'm self-sufficient, I can pay the bills, you know, whatever. It comes in all different forms. Being a people pleaser, making sure that you're always thinking about what other people are going to think of you when you say things, when you do things. Now, that for me created massive inner turmoil. I spent my life people pleasing. I spent my life thinking, I can't say this and I can't do that because what's that person going to think? They're going to judge me. And some of you will know from, if you've watched some of my other videos, but I spent about 12 years of my life abusing drugs and alcohol to try and escape the pressure, the expectations, and these unhealthy beliefs that I had in my head about how I should talk, how I should look, the job that I should have, how I should be around other people, you know, all of these things. And because I rebelled and tried to escape, because it was the only thing that I knew how to do that gave me some kind of relief and made me feel anything but myself and a bit of confidence. Imagine having the beliefs that people are judging you anyway, and then you going and doing that. It was like I was living this double life, and that just added to all the pressure of this person that I thought I should be through all of the conditioning that had been put onto me. So you can imagine how difficult that must have been and how heavy that was and how guilty I felt for such a long time, especially when I came away from that lifestyle. I felt such really heavy guilt about things because I had that conditioning that I shouldn't be doing the wrong things because what are people going to do? They're going to judge me. So it comes in many different forms, and for me it was quite heavy conditioning. And when I compare that to other people in my life, for example my partner, he didn't have that kind of conditioning placed on him, so he very much grew up being comfortable in his own skin, and you know, he found himself, he didn't feel the need to follow other people, he didn't feel the need to please other people, and he's just got this very nice balance of masculine and feminine energy, and just being in his own, you know, his own masculine energy and being very comfortable with himself. And it's very interesting to see how the difference in him not having that conditioning placed on him and him not having certain beliefs drummed into him and certain expectations drummed into him about who he should be when he grows up or how other people should perceive him. It's very different to me. I had all of the conditioning placed on me for the total opposite of, it wasn't grow up and be yourself and it doesn't matter what other people think. You know, it wasn't a healthy, well, you know, you treat people right, but you are who you are, and that doesn't matter what other people think of you. It was very much, you've got to care about what other people think of you, and you've got to do this based on what they're going to think of you. And that came down to all aspects of my life. So you can see the difference there, how, you know, he hasn't experienced social anxiety in that sense, where he just didn't know who he was. That's what created that social anxiety for me, because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know how to be in front of people because I was just putting this mask on, totally, constantly putting this mask on of who my beliefs, of who I thought people wanted me to be. And now I talk about it and I say it like this, and it's just so sad because people don't want me to be anything other than myself. But because of the conditioning of my family, that they placed onto me and what society would have placed onto their parents, etc., etc., that got deeply ingrained into me. So you can see how it's very, very detrimental to a person, to their mental health, to their development, to how they show up in the world, what route they take with what they want to do for work, the kinds of friends that they hold. You know, for me, if I hadn't been so heavily conditioned, and I know I was because I'm meant to help other people for it, but this is an example. If I wasn't heavily conditioned and I took a different path in my life, I don't think I would have gone down the route of doing drugs and alcohol, because I wouldn't have felt the need to escape. I wouldn't have felt like this debilitating social anxiety because I was just faking it all the time, because I was just wearing this mask. I wouldn't have had any of those things, all the branches that came, all the suffering and all the dark times and the decisions and the relationships and the friendships that came from the social conditioning. If I didn't have that placed on me, where would my life have gone? You know, like, I'm at a point in my life now where I'm very at peace with who I am. And don't get me wrong, and I always say this, we're human beings, we go through things, we experience things. Life is here to be experienced. We're not going to have it all worked out. We're not going to arrive. We're not going to be perfect. But it's about navigating it in a way that feels right to you and in alignment with you, with the right tools in your pocket. So I've just literally gone blank again, guys. I love this when I'm channeling. I always do this and then it just goes boop. But going back to what I was saying, so if I hadn't of had that social conditioning placed on me, where would I have gone? Because I wouldn't have felt the need to go and abuse drugs and alcohol to escape. I wouldn't have had the debilitating social anxiety because I wouldn't have been wearing that mask and trying to be somebody that I wasn't. So that's an example. There's so much that I can share with you because it's literally been the theme of my whole life, and I'm 38 years old now. And it's just very interesting to me to see how someone that hasn't had that conditioning placed on them compared to somebody that has, how, as I say, detrimental that can be to somebody's life, and how much suffering somebody can go through, how lost they can feel. And that's when people become disconnected. They become disconnected from their soul, they become disconnected from their heart, they become disconnected from their body. And if we are disconnected from those things, then how is our intuition supposed to lead us and guide us? How is our soul meant to guide us onto the path that we're meant to be on, that's in alignment for us? How are we supposed to have that connection that we're born with when we're a child? We can't, because all we've got is all of this surface level stuff, all of this conditioning, all of these limiting beliefs, you know, all of these expectations, and it just creates inner turmoil in our bodies. It manifests as physical disease. In our minds, it manifests as mental disease. And it's literally all because we've been conditioned to be someone that we're not. That is literally, that is it. That's the root cause of suffering. And it's taken me a long, long time to actually get to the point where I've understood that all of the things that I've done is the root cause of it. And one of the other things as well that I feel it quite deeply when I've watched certain programs on very religious families, and or I don't know whether it was, I think it actually might have been, no, yeah, that was it. I think it was one where it was basically, you know, a family who, they were a religious family, and I can't remember what the religion was. And it was very much like the daughter, you know, they were going to choose who she was going to marry. You know, she had to do everything that her parents were saying, whether or not she loved this man, whether or not she found this man attractive, whether or not this man was right for her. And it caused, she didn't want to do it. I'm getting a bit mixed up because there's a couple of ones that I've actually watched on this. But the main theme that comes from it is that these young women who are being forced into marriage or are being forced into a certain career because that's the family is expecting them to be a high achiever or get a certain job, or it's how it looks on the community. These poor people are so disconnected from who they are as a person. They actually don't even know who they are as a person because there's so much expectation and heavy, strict conditioning placed on them through their religion that they literally have no choice. They cannot express themselves and say, well, I've met this guy and he's really attractive and we had such a good time and we really connected and I think we're going to go on another date, and let things develop naturally in a way that works for them. Or I'm really artistic, I'd love to go and study this at uni, or I'd love to be an artist. It's the conditioning would be, well, is that going to earn you money? How does that look in society? Is it a well-known job? Is it something that other people look at and think, oh yeah, that's going to be respected? The same with however they deal with marriages between the families and things like that. Now, I'm not saying that this is right or wrong because I'm not here to place judgment on religion. That's religion. I don't know enough about it. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm talking about is the individual that I witness and that I get a sense of feeling from. That, okay, religion is religion and those beliefs are those beliefs for those people that are in that religion, but the essence of us is still exactly the same. Take away the religion, take away the religious beliefs, take away what society says we have to do, all of these perceptions, beliefs, take it all away. We are all exactly the same. We are human beings with a soul, and we are a soul having a human experience. How can we possibly experience life in the way that we are meant to? How can we feel inner peace? How can we feel passion? How can we know ourselves? How can we feel confident? How can we feel happy if we have a load of heavy burden, some thoughts, restrictions, conditioning about who we are supposed to be and how we are supposed to show up in the world when that is not who we are? How can people be happy? They can't. It's as simple as that. They can't. And it's always something that whenever I come across a program or I hear a story, I really, really, really deeply feel for those people, because, and I think more now, people are starting to challenge these societal norms, and it leads people then to like more personal growth and potential for more societal change, which is obviously my biggest place in the world. And what I'm here to do is to help people to break that conditioning down, and all of the symptoms and suffering that goes with it just goes. So that's what societal conditioning is. And I've mentioned some of the ways that can show up in your life. That is, debilitating social anxiety. It could be depression. It could literally be any kind of, your body will manifest all of those beliefs, because your beliefs then become an emotion, and that emotion is energy and it gets stored in the body. So if you're suppressing all of these things, you could have blockages in your chakras, all throughout your system. The energy will not be flowing properly. It will just be all in there. And mentally, you'll be suffering with mental health problems as well. For me, it was ruminating thoughts all of the time, the limiting beliefs that just led to debilitating social anxiety. I just couldn't relax. I couldn't be myself. It was a horrible time, to be honest. And all of these things are going to show up like that. And then when you're feeling a certain way on the inside, that's then going to show up externally on the outside. And that could be through drug and alcohol abuse, because you're trying to escape. That could be in the relationships you've got. You might have a relationship in which it's not healthy. There could be domestic abuse, could be a narcissistic relationship, because what you've done is you've gone into because of the energy that you are emitting out, you're basically saying to someone, this is what I'm willing to accept, and then you're going to attract that into your life. And it'll be across the board. You will find that everything feels like an uphill battle. You're probably in a job that you're very, very miserable in, unhappy in, it's not right for you, but you're stuck because you're like, well, I've done all of this work at uni and, but I've got to pay the bills, etc., etc. So it becomes really, really difficult. And if you're going through this, I feel you, I see you, I've been there, and I've worked through all of it. I'm not going to say too much more because I could go on forever about all of the things, but I was also a lawyer. I trained to be a lawyer, and I absolutely just hated the job in the end. It just was totally out of alignment for me, and I ended up coming out of that last year. So I ended the cycle of that, but that didn't happen till much later, after going on kind of the self-development journey and learning about myself. So things don't happen overnight, but that leads me on to what you can actually do about it to start changing it. And one of the things that I did was basically, I think you just decide as well. I think for me, I actually got to a point where I knew in my mind that I shouldn't feel the way that I did, and I tried everything I could to help myself as much as possible, in the sense of like meditating and journaling and going to yoga, and I tried everything that I could that would provide me with that little bit of temporary relief, but it just never got to the root of the problem. And now I know, because you're not going to be able to use stuff like that to get to the root of it. It's stuff that can help you to feel a bit more grounded, and they're tools and things that can help you along the way as you're going through unraveling all of this social conditioning. But it's not the answer. You can't stick a plaster on something and expect it to just disappear. It's not going to happen. And I just decided, I remember sitting on the bed in my room one day saying, I'm not meant to feel like this, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to feel happy and to feel in a peace. And I was part of like an empath group, and that's when I came across my first coach that I worked with. So one of the things that I would definitely say with social conditioning, you need to work with somebody to help you, to guide you through the process of you doing the work, you learning about yourself, you implementing these things and these changes into your daily life, but somebody like myself that's been through it and can actually guide you through it. You can have those deep conversations, you can deep dive into your family and all of those beliefs, all of those expectations, and all of those things that are deeply, deeply rooted into you, which will have been deeply rooted into you from a very young age. So what I would say is that if it's something that you're serious about and you want to, I mean, obviously you can reach out to me. I'll be happy to have a chat with you about what we can do moving forwards. Or you can start dipping your toes into the self-development world as well, and start having some time where you sit down and actually think, right, okay, why do I feel like this? Where do I think it's coming from? What am I prepared to do about it? Am I prepared to invest in myself? Am I prepared to get to the root of this? Or am I happy just bumbling along and I'm just going to accept it? Because there's a difference in most people that will be in my energy won't be one of those people. You will be somebody that wants to get to the root of it, and you want to live a happier life, and you don't want to be feeling this debilitating social anxiety, this disconnection. Deep down somewhere that there's something else that's driving you. And so the main answer really to make that change is investing in yourself. And that means working with somebody, and it means going to some places that are going to be dark, that are going to be painful, that are going to be difficult. But there's one thing that I can promise you, is that when you work through these things that most of the population, some people don't need to go there, but most people are not willing to go there either. But when you do that work, the reward and the feeling that you get when you have worked through something that was at one point in your life such a massive issue. Once you have worked through that and you've got to the other side of it, it feels absolutely incredible. And I often have clients say to me, that's just gone. You know, I woke up the other day, Gret, and I was just thinking about something and I was like, hang on, that issue really used to bother me on a daily basis and now it's gone. It's completely gone. And it is literally, I say it's that easy. It's not that it's easy, but when you put the work in, that's how it can be. And that's what you strive for. And once you've felt that as well, once you've worked through something and you get to the other side of something and you feel that freedom and that inner peace, and you're like, whoa, this is what it's all about. This is what it's meant to be. So, guys, that is what social conditioning is. That's how it can show up in your life, and that's what you can do about it if you want to make a change. So I hope that resonated with you. It's a big, big, big issue in the world, and it's something that I am super passionate about helping you guys with. So if there's anything that you want to ask me about, please let me know. You can reach me on all of my social media platforms: Instagram, Gret Leach 11, Facebook, Gret Leach 11, my website. You can contact me through the email on there, which is www.gretleach.com. All of the links are on my YouTube. So if there's anything at all that you want help with, or you do want to start working with somebody and you want some more information on that, please get in touch with me and I'll be happy to help. As always, thank you so much for being here. I'll see you on the next video. Lots of love.